Hi everyone, it's me Jo. Today is very exciting because Google and YouTube have reached out to me in regards to doing a campaign which is bigger than just what I've done with my channel. Now, I've been on YouTube for a long while. It was a very new platform. It was a way to connect with people that were different, and it generally was a different crowd that started on YouTube. It was full of strange videos, and I found so much fun and solace meeting other people like myself and starting on a collaboration channel before it was widescreen and before it was even monetized. So no custom thumbnails, no 720 HD that was introduced after I joined, and it just was a whole experience for me, and I did not know how much I would get to do from my YouTube stuff because I came on YouTube kind of being told I shouldn't do it. So I don't know if there is even any videos still up from that era on my channel. Maybe I could add some to this video just as a tribute. But I was told vehemently by all the people that I work with not to do social media. It would make me look unprofessional. When I was trying to be a model and a makeup artist very early on in my career, it was something that I had to do it. I had to just be myself, and I had a need to connect with people more than I had a need to get my work. So YouTube and Google have partnered with the United Nations. Now, the UN obviously is well known for all of the amazing things they do, but one of the kind of aspects of what they do is about environmentalism, which is a cause very close to my heart. Little by Little is a campaign I'm very touched to be a part of because and thank you for the t-shirt first and foremost, I do YouTube very differently. I create my sketches of my ideas in video, and I go off and I reshoot them as a final picture. And my outcome isn't necessarily on my channel. It's things that I do when I've come up with an idea. And I kind of like showing you guys techniques that might work and might not work, so you guys can see the process. There's not something that I've done on this channel apart from my art videos that I would really consider to be my final product. Everything, even if they've had some magical thing about them, have been more experimental. So to be approached to do a campaign with Little by Little that's for a cause that's more close to my heart than my current YouTube videos is so important, and I wanted to choose, instead of an equality thing and talking about LGBT people, which I do just by being myself, I wanted to talk about environmentalism and actually go into that a little bit more. So I come from a household where my grandma was the kind of funny old lady in the road, not to call her a funny old lady because she was amazing, she's my nan obviously, but she was unusual because we were the only people that recycled when I was at school, and I've been brought up really with this kind of madhouse of animal cutouts from the paper and considering things that we're using, not wasting water. I remember since I was a kid, just knowing that we were kind of the only family in my area that was really proactive with recycling, and we used to go over and take clothes to churches and things. And part of my I lived in a church essentially for part of my childhood. So again, you probably don't know this about my upbringing, but that's part of it. And my big passion has been for the ocean, and I have been really active actually behind the scenes with this. So Google presented me with an option of their actual sustainability concepts, and the one that really struck a chord with me was the environmentalism and the ocean cleanup and conservation. So I asked if I could do a video about that and just share a little bit of details about what they're doing and what we need to do and things you could do in your home, especially with my work in beauty, and things to be aware of and to consider. Things that we need to consider are plastics, things we use in our food, and if you're a makeup artist, things we use in our kit. Now, a lot of the people on YouTube that I've seen in the last year and a half have been really adamant about reviewing new PR releases, and some of these are so extravagant that they're really not environmentally friendly. I've actually been designing products with recyclable materials for quite some time now, so it's something that I consider. But when you receive those products and you receive these very extravagant looking things, think about how you can reuse them. Think about ways that you can turn that into something else. Be as creative as you would be with makeup and actually use that material to build something new. Or the option is to recycle it in an appropriate way. Some of the single-use plastics are obviously not going to be used again, but thank God we're actually developing new things, whether it's bacteria or fungi that can actually dissolve and thrive on plastics. So hopefully some of that stuff will be disintegrated and returned to the earth before too long. But just being aware of things like that is very much key. I live in Brighton, and we've been making a huge movement because we're very much a green area. We've had a movement to actually reduce the single-use plastic straws. There's been some very shocking images of turtles, and just being considerate of things like that, bringing a metal straw that actually you reuse and rewash is actually far more safer, it's more economical, and it looks more chic if you're actually being bougie as I am. So just thinking about these things and thinking about where our ideas go. Building on this, I always want to recommend using elaborate makeup and doing things as creatively as you possibly can with your makeup. But sometimes we have to be really considerate of what we're putting on our face. One of the actual big things that's actually not spoken about as much in beauty, a lot of what we use is things that do not degrade in a way that would be appropriate for sea life. Things like glitter, it's a big one. We're moving into the areas where we're actually having consumable glitter that you can actually digest, and we're thinking about things like degradable glitters when they're mixed with certain things. But at the moment, a lot of glitters that we use are literally not able to degrade, and they're quite dangerous for animals and sea life. If you think about it in more of a generic way, the food chain results in you ending up eating whatever you're putting in the ocean if you eat fish. So you have to be realistic about this sometimes and really look about what you're putting on your face. There's also a lot of things where it comes to silicones that's not really known about, but these are actually being flushed into the water and diluting the water, and they're not great either. They're doing the same thing as a glitter would be, but on a more small scale. So you have to really think about this stuff. Now, I always think that because we're in an environment at the moment where we use all this stuff and it's routine, it's part of our culture, to get people to just stop using this stuff is going to be a really big shift. It's not going to happen overnight. But what we can do is start talking about it and start producing things that don't have this involved in them. One of my products I'm working on is actually going to be completely degradable, so you can actually use it, and then once it's done you can recycle it, you can use the actual packaging for new things, and just find new ways to actually use these materials that come to encase things in a more creative way and a more sustainable way. Finally, I am working on a brand new website called Agitprop. It's been a long time in the works. Part of what I've been working on that's in theme with this kind of direction is actually talking about veganism. Now, I have been vegetarian for the majority of my life. When I'm not vegetarian, I'm strictly vegan. I have been vegetarian because when I was a child and I started to eat meat as a baby, it made me very poorly. Then when I started to have milk through primary school, I had really bad eczema and really bad asthma, and I had extreme allergies to things. I had to stop horse riding and stuff like that. So I was aware that diet kind of exacerbated things that were wrong with me already. And unfortunately for me, it just didn't allow me to eat dairy when I was a kid. It stopped me having it. So from a very early age, I completely couldn't eat meat and fish. So from a health perspective, I've cut a lot of that out of my actual diet. Now, for a lot of people, I come from a house of carnivores. People don't actually know much about cooking vegan food. It's quite difficult if you're new. But I know how to cook a tasty dish. So hopefully you'll be able to find that, and it'll be out next year in 2019. Being vegetarian and being vegan actually is a bigger milestone for you. It's not just a trendy fad. It really is a health choice. People don't seem to understand that within a lot of these meat products, there's a lot of hormones, there's a lot of things that involve changing your chemistry, your pH levels, because we are omnivorous things. We're not strictly vegan normally. And what happens is we eat so much of the wrong thing that our body completely throws out of balance. And the illnesses that we have rife in this culture is not necessarily due to just the pollutants and stuff that we are exposed to day to day. Is what we put inside our body first and foremost. We don't have enough water, we don't have a clean amount of energy, we sometimes overconsume and then don't burn off that energy and wonder why we're poorly. Lots of this stuff is really why we're not a great health orientated nation, and sometimes we need to be aware of that and make steps towards that just to be a little bit more sustainable in ourselves. Now, once we take autonomy over ourselves, then we can take autonomy over bigger things and actually contributing to the fact that when you actually kill plants to make room for livestock to grow and livestock to thrive, what's actually happening is those plants that were there already will not be able to be used in the sea and in conservation efforts with sustainability of fish. There's a lot of fish, there's a lot of algae that we still don't even know about. So what happens if the algae or the oils from whatever you do to the poor fish, what if they actually can cure something? What if they can contribute to something which has affected your family? Something that you can take full autonomy over, and it's cheaper than eating meat. So just consider it and think about it. So check out Little by Little in the United Nations. I'll put all the links in the description below. Thank you so much, everyone, for being so supportive in my transition when I wanted to do different areas of YouTube. Hopefully by next year it'll be great. And take care. I will see you all in my next video. Check out Little by Little and whoop.